Hello and good morning, everyone. This is the K-Man 1971 back with another installment of my comic book collection spotlight series. Excuse me. This week's episode will be focusing in on my Marvel keys, semi keys, moderate keys that begin with the letter N and end with S. I won't be able to get through all of the comics that begin with S, so I have a lot of books to get through, like maybe like 60 something. So let's just get on with it, and we'll continue on with the letter S next week. So, kicking it off, The New Mutants, #1. I have a couple of copies of this. This was a pretty cheap book, and maybe even some dollar fodder in most places, but ever since there was a New Mutants movie announced, there has been an uptick, and if you still see them in dollar boxes around there, I would pick them up. As with this issue, New Mutants #14. First appearance of magic, I guess. That's what everyone's going by, so will I. New Mutants #18. There's a lot of speculation around this book for the first appearance of Demon Bear, who might be the main antagonist for the New Mutants movie. But take that with a gigantic grain of salt. The New Mutants #16. First appearance of Warpath. New Mutants #26, first appearance of Legion. Once again, a book that you could probably find in dollar bins probably about 6 months ago, but now is no longer the case. I still have to check out that Legion show. I've heard so many good things about it. The New Mutants #86, a cameo of Cable. And of course, New Mutants '87, the first appearance of Cable. Let's get that out of the way. New Mutants #98, of course, as we know, the first appearance of Gideon. Oh, and some other characters named Deadpool and possibly Domino. But I don't know what the deal is with Domino anymore. Is this her first appearance, or is it in that X-Force issue, which you'll see in another video down the road from me? But I don't know. Like I was trying to explain in a previous video, in Iron Man 55, that is a Thanos robot, but it is still considered the first appearance of Thanos. In New Mutants '98, it's been retconned that Copycat was actually posing as Domino the whole time. So, is this the first appearance of Copycat? Is it the first appearance of Domino? I'm not really sure how it works. I guess the market will decide. But it is definitely the first appearance of Deadpool, one of my favorite characters. So, super cool. New Mutants #100, the first appearance of X-Force as a team. The Man Called Nova, #1. First appearance of Nova, obviously. Some variant action here, so it's not just all oldies, but Original Sin #1 by Gabriel Del Otto. I'm a big fan of Gabriel Del Otto's artwork. Original Sin #5. Oops. #7, which is also, that's what I ended up stumbling across this last year at Newberry Comics, and at that point this book was actually like, I want to say like a $200 book, and I don't think it goes anywhere around that anymore. I think it's more like a $50, $60, $70 book. I'm not sure, but once again, it's one of those deals where I just bought a variant ass backwards, and it was in a discount bin and been sitting there since Original Sin originally came out like a year or two ago. So what they do at Newberry Comics is they'll originally throw it in the bin if it doesn't sell, and as time goes on, the price just keeps going down and down. And this had like 2 or 3 different price tags on it. I purchased this for either $10.99 or $12.99. I'm not really sure. As well as this one, which is one of my favorite Winter Soldier covers. Original Sin #8. Let's get those out of the way. Power Man and Iron Fist, number 50. This is the first issue where they ended up combining both the titles. This isn't their first team up. I want to say their first team up is in issue 48, which I don't own, but this is a pretty cool book to have, and I was surprised. I haven't read it in a while, but I'm almost positive it was done by the classic X-Men team of Chris Claremont and John Byrne. I know John Byrne definitely drew this issue, and I'm almost positive Chris Claremont wrote it, but not really sure. Power Man and Iron Fist number 66. What's the deal with this issue? This is the second appearance of Sabretooth, who is easily one of my top 10 favorite Marvel villains. Power Man and Iron Fist number 84. This is, I want to say, the third appearance of Sabretooth. Punisher number 1 from his first miniseries. This is the book that put the Punisher on the map. I mean, in the 80s, the Punisher rocketed up to Wolverine and Spider-Man levels of popularity, mainly because of this miniseries. So, great stuff. And like I said, or rather, as I've said before, I never get sick of these Mike Zeck Punisher covers. Fantastic. Punisher number 1 from his first ongoing series. Once again, this book was dollar bin fodder for a while after the Punisher's fall from grace, I guess, in comic fandom's eyes. But this is another book, at least in my area, it's a wall book again. What's old again is new again. And yeah, not a big dollar wall book, but probably a $10 to $15 wall book in my area now. So cool. And well deserved. Awesome Klaus Janson art in here. Kind of a nasty glare, but Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe. One shot. Early Garth Ennis, who is one of my favorite writers. And this was one of those books, I just picked it up probably last year, I think. And I mean, it was good, but from what I've read, I've already read Preacher and Garth Ennis's other Punisher run and Hitman. So I've read a lot of really top-of-the-line Garth Ennis. And this is early Garth Ennis, and I don't know. While it was good, it just didn't live up to the hype of what I built it up to be. But I understand he was early. It was early in the game, and I can see why people were so blown away by this when it first came out. Still, if you're a Punisher fan, you have to own it. Punisher number 31, the first appearance of Barracuda. Yeah, great antagonist. I loved, what was it? The kind of sequel, I guess, that ran through Punisher Max 50 through 54. Outstanding. Love Barracuda as a character. I hope they put him on Netflix. Rom number 1. A lot of speculation around this book. I bought it for the nostalgia in the first appearance. It was one of those toys that I wanted back in the day, but the toy was so shitty that it didn't really last on the market very long, so I never ended up getting it. But I remember the series ended up running a lot longer than the toy actually did. And Frank Miller cover, it's another one of those. I mean, yeah, I guess there's been a revamp of ROM as of lately, and allegedly they're going to try a shared Hasbro universe of ROM, the Micronauts, and someone else. I don't know, man. Take that with a grain of salt. I paid $5 for this, and I wouldn't really want to pay more than $5 for this. But if you're a hardcore fan, and if you like ROM, pay as much as you want. She-Hulk number 1. First appearance of the character of She-Hulk. And I want to say this was Stan Lee. Yeah, I'm almost positive. It's been well over 10 years, or probably even more since I've opened up this book. But yeah, it does say Stan Lee probably presents. So, most likely. Yeah, Stan Lee. Definitely. Rambling. Stopping. And moving on, Silver Surfer, number 34. Great book to have. Another one that you could have just found in a long box is probably about a year or so ago. But this is the first issue that kind of brings Thanos back off the shelf. And even if the internet was around back then and the comic book online community was around, they would have been able to bitch about this, because who ended up taking him off the shelf? the guy that put him on the shelf in the first place, the great Jim Starlin. And this was a great era on Silver Surfer, building all the way up to that, very 90s foil 50th issue. But great stuff. And another variant, Silver Surfer #2. Don't even ask me which series this is from, but I just loved it. Anytime I can get Silver Surfer and Galactus on the same cover together, that's some old school goodness. And I thought this cover was pretty original and pretty funny too. So. Okay, we have reached this point in the video that if you don't like Spider-Man, and who doesn't like Spider-Man, but this is all Spider-Man from here on out. So, just a quick reminder, as I've said before in my other comic book collection spotlight videos, with my big franchises, like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, JLA, the X-Men, they have multiple titles. So instead of putting them in alphabetical order in my collection, I just basically lump them all together in their own like subcategory and alphabetize them as I go along, which would explain why you didn't see any Amazing Spider-Man in the A through C video of my Marvel keys. So anyway, moving on. Amazing Spider-Man #56, probably a 5.0, but this is my oldest issue of Amazing Spider-Man in my collection. And I want to say it's the first appearance of Captain Stacy, Gwen Stacy's father. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up again. Don't take my word for that one. Oh, sorry. Going out of order again. So, #56. We'll jump all the way up to, kind of a rough glare on there, Amazing Spider-Man #129, the first appearance of the Punisher. I picked this one up probably about 2 years ago. Only a 5.0, that annoys me a little bit, but it's all I could afford at the time, and I really wanted a Punisher first appearance. It was there, so I picked it up. CBCS, I think it's because of the color fade that it gets the 5.0 grade, because I would put this closer to probably a 5.5, but I'm not really sure, and I'm not going to debate it, obviously. They're the professional graders, not I. But yeah, I really dislike the grade of 5.0, that quagmired grade of, is it a very good plus or is it a fine minus? I'm not really sure. But nonetheless, I'm not bitching about it too much. I love owning it, and it completes my trinity of Marvel's badasses of the Bronze Age, as I like to call them. Oh, well, I'm sure someone else has called them that too. But of Wolverine, the Punisher, and Ghost Rider. So very cool. Very happy to have it. But I would like to upgrade it someday. Which is why I haven't unslabbed it yet, because when I do sell it, if I get a better copy, I think it would be easier to sell that way, and there would be no dispute about what grade it is. The Amazing Spider-Man #134. This is a cameo appearance of the Punisher and the first appearance of Tarantula. Amazing Spider-Man 135, second appearance of the Punisher. Amazing Spider-Man 161. I want to say this is the first time that Wolverine crossed over into the Amazing Spider-Man title. And it's either this issue or the next issue, I want to say, is also the first appearance of Jigsaw. So it's either in this one, or it could possibly be this one also. Amazing Spider-Man 162. Amazing Spider-Man 174. As you can see, last year I was going through all of my missing early Punisher appearances. So anytime you can have Punisher and Spider-Man in the same comic together, I'm pretty happy about that. Amazing Spider-Man 175. Let's get some room. Amazing Spider-Man 194, super high grade, direct edition version of the first appearance of the Black Cat, who, as you're going to see, in the 80s, when, being a younger guy, or a young kid at the time, actually, was really big into Spider-Man, and I was really into the Black Cat Hobgoblin, and eventually Venom too. So that was like my golden era of Spider-Man. And one of the main reasons also that when collecting Spider-Man, my sweet zone is pretty much from the Silver Age, which I don't own a lot of, obviously, and all the way up to the McFarlane era, and a couple of issues afterwards too. But right from there, from the '60s to the McFarlane era, that's basically my era of Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man number 200 anniversary issue. Issue number 238. First appearance of the Hobgoblin, newsstand edition with the tattoos intact. So that was one of the rare deals where I ended up getting a really good deal on eBay. I couldn't believe it. Amazing Spider-Man number 252. The first appearance of the black suit. Here we go. Issue number 298, the beginning of pretty much my favorite era on Spider-Man, the Todd McFarlane era. So, number 298. Number 299, which has the first cameo appearance of Venom. Number 300, which is the first full appearance of Venom, book that I was psyched to add to my collection last year. This was a book that I bought fresh off the rack back in the day, and foolishly I traded it away when one of those many times where I'm like, I'm out of comics, and I sold off a lot of my collection. So this was another one that I was very happy to welcome back home. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. And I own the whole Todd McFarlane, David Michelin run, as well as the whole Todd McFarlane in the adjectiveless Spider-Man series. So I'm not going to show them all, but I'll just show some highlights of what I think are books that are a little bit more sought after in that run. So number 301. Number 312, Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, and Green Goblin all on the same cover, done by McFarlane. Check, please. Number 316, Classic Venom. And 317. Number 361, first appearance of Carnage. And that'll do it for my Amazing Spider-Man keys. Moving on to his secondary titles. Avenging Spider-Man number 9. First appearance of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. Giant-sized Spider-Man and Dracula number 1. Good stuff. A little bit dated in the writing, well, quite a bit, pretty hokey. But I ended up getting that at the same time I ended up getting this one right here. Giant-sized Spider-Man and the Punisher, number 4. I want to say this is the third appearance of the Punisher. So, and out of all, when I was hunting down all those early Punisher appearances last year or the year before, it was like kind of a 2-year process. This was definitely one of the tougher ones for me to come across. Marvel Tales number 99. As I also said in my last video, some of these reprints of classic Marvel issues from the Bronze Age garner a little bit of attention from collectors nowadays. So most collectors, well, a lot of collectors, and I don't own the original as of yet either, but the death of Gwen Stacy is a little bit pricey for them. So a good way to, get that story without not having it be in a trade paperback if you want it in a single, be through Marvel Tales. So Marvel Tales number 99, Death of Gwen Stacy, and number 137, which is it covers Amazing Fantasy number 15, and it also includes the origin of Doctor Strange by Liam Ditko. So good stuff. Another Marvel Tales to look out for would be whichever issue debuts the first appearance of the Punisher And of course, number 98, which is the first part of the death of Gwen Stacy. So if you see those around, and Marvel Tales are books that you can a lot of times still find them in dollar bins here and there, or very cheap in long boxes. So I would pick them up, especially if you're a Spidey fan. I also said last week how much I love Marvel 2-in-1, Brave and Bold, DC Comics Presents, and this was no doubt my favorite team-up title back in the day. Marvel team-up, Spider-Man and the Human Torch. Talk about, I mean, a lot of people say this was the end of Spider-Man from being that loner guy that hardly was kind of like on the outskirts of the Marvel universe, but and then having him team up with a different hero every issue. So I want to say in the earlier issues of Marvel Team Up, sometimes they would switch up the main character. Sometimes they would take Spider-Man out, and I want to say they would put the Hulk, and sometimes I want to say, if I'm remembering correctly, even the Human Torch. Those were like really popular characters at Marvel. So, but yeah, great to have this. Marvel Team Up #1. Love it. Marvel Team Up number 53, done by Chris Claremont and John Byrne, and I believe this is the first time that John Byrne ever drew the Uncanny X-Men. So, great stuff. Also from the Claremont Byrne era on Marvel Team Up number 65, the first American appearance of Captain Britain. And finally, what I feel is a very undervalued book. This is Spider-Man, well, Marvel Team Up Annual #1, Spider-Man and the X-Men. This is the first time that the new X-Men appear outside of their own title. And more importantly, in my eyes, it is the first time and the first meeting of two of my favorite Marvel characters, Spider-Man and the main man right there, Wolverine. And their first meeting goes along in classic Marvel fashion. They don't fight, but they don't exactly get along and hit it off either. But great. You know, everyone makes a big deal about the first time Batman and Superman teamed up, which is well-deserved, obviously. But Spider-Man and Wolverine, I mean, really, who is bigger in the Marvel pantheon of heroes? Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man #1. Another one of those first issues done right. Action-packed, a lot happening. Look at that yellow, vibrant cover. I mean, it looks a lot like Amazing Spider-Man 134. But other than that, I love this book. And as a young speculator back in the day, I remember this was like one of those major first issues that I owned. And Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man was closing around issue number 100. So I thought this was going to be the book that could help me retire. I'm like, this will be the next Amazing Spider-Man. But obviously, we know that never happened. And this book has always fluctuated between, $20, $30-ish dollars. So, but great book to have, and I love it. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man #27. The first time that Frank Miller drew Daredevil. So pretty important in my eyes. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man #64, the first full appearance of Cloak and Dagger. Really cool cover. The Web of Spider-Man #1. It doesn't go for that much, but this is one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man covers. I bought this one fresh off the rack back in the day. Not necessarily this issue, but this was one of those covers that you saw it and you just buy it. That's all you could do. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends #1. This was my jam on Saturday mornings as a kid. Loved this show. Had a crush on Firestar. First appearance of Firestar. So, very underutilized character. And I think until my generation dies off, there'll always be someone trying to revitalize Firestar and try to make her relevant. Spider-Man Spidey Super Stories #31. I love a good homage story. I love Spider-Man. I love Star Wars. So you mix them all up together and you come across with an awesome cover like that. All right. Let's move some of these out of the way. Spider-Man #1, back from the 90s. Or was it the 90s? Yeah, I think so. But McFarlane, this is probably one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man covers, and these bagged copies were so hot. I still have to there's another bagged version of this too, the most sought after one, but I haven't been able to track that one down as of yet. But these books were so hot back in the day, and I probably picked them up like 2 years ago for like, I want to say this one was 7, and maybe that was like 8 or 9. But no doubt, great to have. Spider-Man Deadpool #1. At the end of last year, I was thinking about dropping it, but I just can't do it. I just can't seem to do it. And ending off, finally, Ultimate Fallout #4. This is the bag folded over within the bag, kind of like with those other Spider-Man #1s. I don't put them in my lights because they're already polybagged, and I think that would just be a little kind of like a sticky mess, so I just have them in regular plastics to kind of try to protect the bag, I guess. But another book that's probably like $10, $15, maybe. But Miles Morales, I think he's sticking around, man. So another one of those. I can't tell you how many. I mean, that Deadpool, New Mutants '98. I picked that up out of a long box, $5 back in the '90s, where Deadpool wasn't really. But I saw potential in that character, and same thing with Miles Morales. Just because the book is worth $10, $15 now doesn't mean you should pass up on it. It means you should buy it now. So that's all I have for this week. I will be back next week. I still have like, I don't know, like probably 2 or 3 more hauls to go through to get through all of these keys, and then I will be back to my comic book hauls because I have a lot of stuff building up, people, and I'm bringing the Bronze Age back with me. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for the new subscribers and my loyal subscribers. I hope you all have a great week out there. Take care. Take it easy. Stay cool. Bye.